very good possibility if they see that opportunity. Certainly, he is not showing any sign of exiting the freeway yet, and they've had plenty of time up here in the San Fernando Valley to get units in position to maybe try a spike attempt if they can get close enough to the vehicle and safely execute that spike. Or even if he decides to get off at some of these exits, they will have units ready at some of these exit ramps, and I'm sure LAPD is monitoring this as well. So a possibility that we may see a spike attempt here, but we'll just have to wait and see. You can see those are West Valley CHP units that were at the ready there, now about to take over this pursuit. The pursuit officially being handed off to the California Highway Patrol's West Valley office. So two new units in this pursuit now, and we'll see if those others back off and if one of them might have been a Cal State Long Beach police officer. So we're continuing northbound just past the 101 freeway. Again, basically staying in those center lanes, kind of throttling the left to center lanes there, but again, clearly no sign of pulling off to the right. So as he's committed to the 405 freeway, past Sherman Oaks now, getting into the Van Nuys area. Speed's picking up a little bit, about 70 miles per hour now, again continuing up the 405 freeway. Just past Burbank now. Is there a third behind him there, Rob? Just those two? Yeah, there is three. Okay. Got it. So additional units joining the pursuit now by our count up here in Air 7, about a half a dozen units now in pursuit here, mostly California Highway Patrolmen pursuing this sedan. Again, hard to tell what kind of car that is. I can't, maybe a Volkswagen or tough to say. So once again, and you can see now that night sun overhead as well, compliments of the Highway Patrol helicopter. He's really got the entire northbound side of the freeway still to himself. Now again, I should reiterate, there's a traffic break behind him, but even the traffic in front of him is very light and really not bad conditions at all for a possible spike strip attempt. If they could safely execute that, I would imagine that they are getting in position as we speak to make that happen. Again, he is committed to the northbound side here, so they've had plenty of time to get units in position. We'll see if that happens here. Coming up on Roscoe. Is the locator up, Rob? Thank you. Yeah, that was a tough one. It looks like they might have actually. Here comes a unit right behind his left rear here. Wonder if he's just trying to get a better glimpse of that driver's seat. Very interesting tactic there, kind of speeding up to his left rear, almost as if to hint at a pit, but certainly we would not expect to see anything like that on the freeways with all of this traffic, and or not a lot of traffic, but with other cars on the road there at these speeds. Definitely too fast for a safe pit maneuver, but maybe trying to get a glimpse of that driver's side. So you can see now speeding up to about 70 miles per hour. We're in North Hills now, just past Nordoff, and continuing into the north end of the San Fernando Valley. Want to go ahead and recap what we know so far. Details a little bit limited in the sense that we really don't know why this suspect is running and who else might be on board this car. But in any event, this was an attempted traffic stop in the Long Beach area. Cal State Long Beach police attempting to pull this person over, refused to yield, ended up on the freeway, and the California Highway Patrol taking this pursuit over. He's been doing pretty manageable speeds, but has covered quite a distance in a pretty short amount of time from Long Beach all the way up here to the San Fernando Valley in about a half hour or so. So not bad timing at all, and you could see he is just has no intention of pulling over still, so it may be just a matter of exhausting all of the fuel in the gas tank. Of course, the California Highway Patrol has plenty of time on their side and endless resources to take this as far as this suspect decides to flee. But without knowing how much fuel is in the tank, it would be very difficult to, of course, estimate how much longer he could take this. In any event, the California Highway Patrol continuing the pursuit here. They are showing no signs of giving it up, despite the fact that this started as just a traffic stop. As far as we know, we don't really have much other information in terms of any other wants, whether this was maybe a stolen vehicle or whether there was any other crime committed here whatsoever other than traffic infractions. And I've got to be honest, just in the time that we've been over this pursuit, we haven't really seen many traffic infractions. He's, for the most part, obeying the rules of the road and traveling at a fairly manageable freeway speed here, not too far above the at about 65 miles per hour. Again, committed to that Are we back? I'm not sure. No, 5 freeway. So he's coming off of the 405. He's past the 118 freeway, now merging onto the northbound side of the 5 freeway. Just getting a little more information, really just confirmation of what we were hearing originally. Apparently, security personnel at Cal State Long Beach attempted to pull this vehicle over, possibly, well, we don't know why he was pulling him over, but in any event, he refused to pull over. And the chase ensued, and eventually California Highway Patrol took it over. So really not much new there, but again, what started as a very routine traffic stop has turned into a pursuit that's covered quite a distance here, and now a number of units, mostly California Highway Patrol and some others in pursuit as well, but mostly California Highway Patrol units, black and whites, right behind him here and giving him a little more room to play with. They've intentionally backed off just a little bit for whatever reason, and you can see he's really not changing his behavior much, aside from the fact that he's pulled over to the right a little bit. He's hugging that number 3 lane now, but still doing about 65 miles per hour, and really not driving too erratically by any means. Really showing full control, so no indication that there's any other substance influence here or anything like that. So it'll just be really interesting when we ultimately find out why this person decided to run, what his reasons were. That's good. I like that. Thank you, buddy. Yep, for sure. Is he getting onto the 210? It's still 5. Okay. Past the 210. Had an opportunity to get onto the 210 there, so he's bypassed that. Now going through the Newhall Pass, continuing northbound side of the 5 freeway now, and he will have a decision to make here whether he decides to stay on the 5 or the 14. We're going to go ahead and join Eyewitness News here in just a second. Michelle, this pursuit now going on about 40 minutes old. What started as a routine traffic stop in the South Bay on Cal State Long Beach campus has turned into a freeway pursuit taken over by the California Highway Patrol. They've handed this off to several different offices within CHP, past the LAX area, past West LA, through the Sepulveda to pass all the way through the San Fernando Valley, up the 405 freeway the whole time, ending up on the 5 freeway now, and now committing to the 5 freeway as we enter the Santa Clarita Valley, bypassing the 210 and the 14 freeway here. So a straight shot up the 405 all the way to the 5 freeway, about a half a dozen units right behind him. Not clear why this person has refused to pull over. This, again, started as a very routine traffic stop. The driving that we've seen has been very manageable. The speeds have been relatively normal freeway speeds, not too much beyond the speed limit here. Now pushing maybe 70 miles per hour, 60 to 70, but showing full control of the vehicle. There was an attempt at a spike a little bit earlier in the San Fernando Valley, but obviously so many lanes to cover, it was just not successful.
And here's a view from our, just to interrupt real quickly, Chris, that's a view from our ground crew stationed along the 5 freeway in the Santa Clarita Valley, just passing under that freeway bridge there. The speeds, as you can see, not excessive, around 70 miles an hour, 65, 70 miles an hour. Now passing directly under that freeway bridge and our ground unit. So we were able to get ahead of it and watch it pass. Now you can continue your coverage. No incidents of him colliding with anybody, correct?
Yeah, remarkable. Yeah, no collisions whatsoever. The driving has been pretty safe overall, aside from the fact that he's fleeing law enforcement here. Interestingly enough, that our ground crew was able to catch up with him speaks to the predictability. I mean, he really has not deviated from the 405, and ultimately the 5 freeway has been committed to the left side with no real clear indication of trying to get off at any of these side streets, just taking this all the way as far north as he can, apparently. Unclear how much fuel, obviously, is in that tank, but law enforcement has endless resources to take this as far north as this suspect chooses to go. So they were able to set up for a spike strip. Our ground crew was able to catch up with him. The predictability has been there. He's not really showing signs of trying to lose police or lose California Highway Patrol, just traveling at a fairly normal rate of speed up the freeway here, and now well into the Santa Clarita Valley, guys.
And Chris, what do you know about how this all began in Long Beach? Do you know what this driver did that prompted officers to initiate a traffic stop?
So apparently this started near or on the Cal State Long Beach campus with a private security company, I believe, that tried to pull him over. Perhaps there was an issue with the headlight, but from our vantage point, it does look like both headlights are on, and the lights are working okay. So we'll see what the ultimate decision was to try and pull him over, but in any event, it started as a routine traffic stop. No indication that this is a stolen vehicle or anything like that. There is no talk of any other crime that was committed, but nonetheless, CHP has decided to really commit to this pursuit and take this quite a distance here. Again, despite the fact that he's not really going terribly fast, he has certainly had traffic in his favor and has managed to cover quite a bit of real estate in a relatively short amount of time, from Long Beach all the way up here to Santa Clarita in, I would say, no more than 45 minutes.
I'm wondering if you've been able to determine whether there's anyone else in the vehicle. Is it just the driver that you've been able to tell, or can you see someone else possibly in the front or the back?
Yeah, unfortunately, Mark, we tried to get a glimpse in there, and it's just been a little bit too dark to tell. The only thing that we have been able to observe is that those windows are not very tinted at all, and there is something in the passenger seat. There is some kind of a container in the rear passenger seat, the back seat of that vehicle. You can almost see it here. If we go ahead and highlight that rear window, you might be able to catch a glimpse. Once we come on the other side of this truck here, you can see some kind of a container, maybe even a pet carrier. We can't confirm that, but that's what it looks like. Something of that nature sitting on the back seat up against the passenger side window that is, at the very least, providing an additional blind spot for this driver, unable to see out that rear passenger window, but something is sitting in the back seat. As far as other individuals inside the car, we just don't know, other than the driver.
Okay, well, it looks like traffic is pretty light as this driver continues northbound on the I-5 in the Santa Clarita area. You can see the CHP units closely behind. As Chris indicated, they did attempt one spike strip to try to get this driver to lose a tire or pop a tire and come to an end, but it was not successful. And so perhaps they will be able to try that tactic again now with traffic pretty light here, Chris. So far, just one attempt that you know of.
One attempt, but I got to tell you, just looking up ahead, I could already see additional units getting onto the freeway, and they may very well be setting up for a second attempt here. There is a little bit of construction on the southbound side. That shouldn't be a hindrance, but there are units now entering the freeway about 2 miles ahead of us, and they may very well be eyeing the possibility of a second spike strip. The other interesting thing that we saw as we made our way through the Newhall Pass just before we actually left the San Fernando Valley, one of the primary units, actually pulled right up behind him, up to the left rear driver's side, and almost looked like a pit maneuver, not something we would expect to see on the freeway, especially at speeds upwards of 60, 70 miles per hour, but maybe just trying to get a better glimpse inside the vehicle or a better glimpse through the driver's side window. In any event, that primary unit pulled back, and then all of the units actually gave him a little bit of space to play with, pulled back, gave him a little bit of distance between the CHP units and the driver here. And now you can see that they have closed in on him once again. You can see the blue and red lights glowing from his rear windshield, and if we widen out, you can see that those units really are no more than 10 car lengths behind him. You also see that California Highway Patrol has their helicopter overhead as well. At one point, LAPD was assisting, but they were able to get their CHP helicopter overhead here, so you can see that's where that night sun is coming from, lighting up the suspect's vehicle now as we continue past Valencia Boulevard.
And have you been able to determine whether officers have been able to get in contact with this individual by cell phone? Are they indicating through their kind of air traffic or radio traffic that they know who this person is? Are you able to glean much from what you're able to hear on the radio?
Certainly possible that they may have some more intelligence of that nature. We just don't have that information, unfortunately, based on what we've been able to gather. What I can tell you, interestingly enough, I mentioned just a minute ago, those other units entering the freeway up ahead here over the next couple of miles, and it does look like either there's some construction that I can't see around the corner, or maybe they're shutting down the freeway, but he's got a solid traffic jam with bumper-to-bumper brake lights in the next mile or so. So this could get a little bit interesting, and I don't know what the cause of this traffic jam is. Like I said, it very well could be a construction zone, but nonetheless, he's going to have a decision to make here, whether he sticks with this traffic jam, whether he jumps on the shoulder, or maybe for the first time in this pursuit decides to get off the freeway. We'll know here in the next minute or so, but things really start to slow down as he gets closer to New Hall Ranch Road.
Okay, well, this will be the first significant traffic that this person's facing since this began, because, as you mentioned, Chris, he was able to make it up here in a relatively short amount of time, all the way from Long Beach up here in a little over 45 minutes. And now coming up on some heavy traffic on the I-5 North in Santa Clarita. As Chris indicated, it could be due to construction. We're not sure, but there is definitely a slowdown ahead, and we will have to wait and see what happens here. Chris, are we pretty close to this now?
Yeah, I mean, no more than a half mile away from solid brake lights. And as you mentioned, you're so right, Michelle, he's had a straight shot with little to slow him down this entire pursuit from Long Beach all the way up here in the Santa Clarita Valley. There's been very, very light traffic. They've been at some points even creating traffic breaks to give him some room. But now, for the first time, here we go. You're going to see some more brake lights, and he is now pulled all the way over to that number 1 lane. It does look like there's some construction here, so that may very well be what the jam is. But you can see he's confined to that number 1 lane, because that far left lane, actually, that far left lane, yeah, see, he's got some cones there that are taking out one whole lane there. We'll see. He may decide to jump on the other side of these cones if he feels like it. Looks like he's just kind of squeezing through here. Caltrans vehicles up ahead as well. He may have to squeeze through them, but you can see the rest of the traffic here has come to a standstill, and he's getting much, much closer to those cones now. It looks like that lane may free up here in a little bit, but so far he's been able to squeeze through here without really knocking over any cones, just kind of threading the needle. But there's a cone. He's kind of threading the needle between the traffic and, well, there you go. That's just what I was going to say. He's just basically decided to jump around those cones, and now he's got that whole left lane to himself, which is presumably under construction. Not sure what kind of construction, but you can see that lane is shut down. So essentially providing him with a private lane to continue this further north into Castaic.
Yeah, well, hopefully there will be no construction workers in his path ahead. Now that he is on the left side, the closed-off area, this is a serious concern.
A big concern.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, typically
absolutely.
in a nighttime, especially a nighttime construction zone, there will be a CHP officer assigned for the safety of the Caltrans crew. So they have undoubtedly been alerted that this person was heading this way. So one hopes that the crews that were down there doing the work, the folks who were actually doing the work down there, have been moved to some sort of safe place. What do you
Yeah, you're right. And I was surprised that I hadn't seen any of those highway patrolmen yet, but it does look like the bulk of the construction is coming up here. He's not going to be able to even stay in those lanes. By the way, the freeway is now down to 1 lane of normal traffic, but the rest of those lanes are all shut down. Looks like they're repaving it, and he's not really going to be able to get very far, but now he's been able to squeeze back over to the legal lanes. bypassing the construction zone and now on the correct lanes here. So he's been able to basically really narrowly past this construction zone, although through all of that I do not see any CHP units, which is very odd because, as you mentioned, Mark, almost always there's a CHP unit standing guard to those construction workers. So he was able to get through that, now getting off of the freeway here at Hasley Canyon Road, and we'll see what he decides to do here. Looks like he's sticking with the 5 freeway, getting back on to the 5 freeway, and maybe was able to avoid a spike strip in the process there. I'll be able to confirm that in just a second, but there is talk of another spike strip attempt either right there or up ahead, maybe trying to knock out one of those tires again if they have that opportunity. It does look like the traffic is thinning out once again. You can see the reason for that traffic jam was that basically all of those lanes were taken out, with the exception at one point the freeway was down to 1 lane, but now all lanes open. He's past that construction zone and continuing this pursuit at 70 miles per hour.
Well, he sure got lucky with being able to scoot around all that traffic and make it back into that right-hand lane just in time to avoid that. Incredible and unfortunate because that could have been an opportunity for this to come to an end, but it has not. It continues. Fortunately, no one was hurt in that traffic mess there.
That was really the most daring thing that we've seen. And you saw him come in contact with a couple of cones, didn't touch any other vehicles, but that was the most aggressive thing that we have seen in this entire pursuit, which doesn't say a whole lot about the excitement of this pursuit. It's been very nominal driving for the most part up until that construction zone, and clearly he got a little bit aggressive there, a little bit desperate to evade officers with no signs of slowing down, and now being able to pass that construction zone, he's continuing at full speeds here, and so is the highway patrol. But that right there, that construction zone episode was really the most aggressive thing that we've seen so far.
And also probably the best, as Michelle pointed out, probably the best place where they could have done something to maybe choke this thing off, but they couldn't, and he got around it. And now you can guess that at this time of night, on this stretch of road, there's nothing but open road ahead of him, unless there's another construction zone ahead, which it appears we don't see. So now he's got open road in mostly a straight line heading through the Castaic area on the northbound 5 freeway. This started way back many miles ago in Long Beach on the Cal State Long Beach campus, where police there tried to pull this person over. It's not clear to us yet what he was being pulled over for, but he decided at that point to take off, fled from Long Beach police, and then got onto the 405 freeway where the highway patrol took over, and he stayed on the 405 north and continued until it hit the 5 north and is still on the 5 now and going through, this long stretch of road heading through Castaic on the northbound 5 freeway.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is one of those situations as he continues up the Grapevine towards Gorman, where we have to kind of pump the brakes a little bit because of the darkness of night as he continues up through the Grapevine. There's very little light up there, and that will pose a danger for any of the helicopters involved in this pursuit. But the units on the ground, and of course our ground unit, I would presume, will continue to follow him up there. But for the time being, we're going to hold here. I can give you an idea. We're right around Lake Hughes Road, which is where we've come to a pause. We will try and stick with this as long as we can, keep the shot as long as we can as he continues northbound on the 5 freeway, passing Victoria Road now, and continuing through Castaic. Again, once he passes Castaic, there really is no other opportunity to get off the 5 freeway for the most part, aside from a couple of remote trails. He can take this all the way up to the 138 in Gorman, and at that point, I mean, he really can take it all the way up to Bakersfield for all we know. We just don't know how much fuel he's got in the tank, but CHP definitely has plenty of units in position from the valley, from the Santa Clarita Valley now. These are the Santa Clarita Valley units that are continuing the pursuit, as well as a couple of units from Cal State Long Beach, which have, I think, managed to stick with this pursuit as well. So we'll just have to stand by and see, but you can see the landscape up ahead here as you move north through the Grapevine. It's very dark, a couple of cars, a few brake lights, but for the most part, very remote area here. That's what it looks like during the day using our Google Maps overlay. It's a very, very mountainous area and very remote and very dark.
Yeah, all very good reasons for not flying over that area with a helicopter, Chris, and we appreciate you keeping this picture on so we can continue to watch, but we know it's only a matter of time before we'll have to leave this, and probably while it's still going on, but we'll keep our viewers updated. But this person continuing for quite some time now on the freeways, going in a northerly direction, now on the I-5 north, with the CHP following closely behind, but still refusing to pull over. And oddly, we still don't know why this person is wanted by authorities. We believe it could be as simple as a traffic violation, or perhaps even a headlight that might have been out that's actually started this pursuit in Long Beach.
Right. Headlights are still on now, as we've been able to see. So if it's some other equipment violation, we don't know what that is. But something got the attention of police in Long Beach on the Cal State Long Beach campus, and that's what started this whole thing. Their attention apparently was warranted because the suspect took off. Maybe it is, in fact, a warrant. Maybe the person has a warrant for their arrest and doesn't want to give up. Of course, they make things far worse by taking off. That always is the case. You make things worse when you flee, and this person is electing to do that. A little bit of traffic ahead, it looks like, but nothing like the construction zone that we saw earlier, heading uphill into the Grapevine.
I should say, you know, it looks like he's continuing northbound. One of the most common reasons suspects run is because they have something in the vehicle, evidence of some type of a crime or contraband in the vehicle that they don't want to get caught with, whatever that might be. In this case, we are hearing a report that just about a few seconds ago or a minute ago, he might have tossed something out of the driver's side window. That's coming from those units on the ground. So they observed him tossing something out the window, and for all we know, based on what we've seen of this pursuit, that may very well be the reason he decided not to pull over, foolishly, of course, but certainly a lot of times that is the reason. In many, many cases, we often find that out. So that may be the case here. It may be other reasons, maybe other crimes committed, but that's the latest observation from CHP on the ground there.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is they can anticipate where he's going, and so maybe they will be able to do another spike strip. But that is not the easiest thing to do when you have other cars on the roadway, which we can see ahead. So maybe they'll just continue to follow at this point. We'll find out, but not an easy thing when you're on a freeway to bring a pursuit to an end. We did see one spike strip attempt earlier, but the driver was able to get around it. And as far as we know, that was the one and only attempt. There was a patch of traffic about 5-10 minutes ago, and that was the only time we saw any erratic driving from this individual. Otherwise, this driver's just been moving along at a normal speed and not really breaking any laws.
Right. Not since, except for the initial one of fleeing from police and failure to yield. Of course, once he is stopped, and he will be, we'll find out, or the police will find out exactly what was the reason for all of this. If there was contraband or something in the vehicle, then they'll find that out. If there's something else going on, if he's got a warrant, if he's committed some crime, if he's a suspect in something else, we'll find that out. If he's DUI, they'll find that out, of course, as well. So all they're doing really is delaying.
Slowed down. Yeah, he has definitely slowed down a little bit, continuing for sure, but has slowed down considerably. I can also confirm for you that CHP has, their helicopter has backed off officially as well. So this will be now up to those primary units involved in the pursuit on the 5 to ultimately bring this to a resolution, but that CHP helicopter has officially pulled off.
All right, Chris Christie in Air 7 HD, thank you. And we know you have to break off the pursuit right now. It does continue on the ground, and if anything happens that we need to report.
Thank you, Tracy. Good job, guys.